will be able to see notifications letting you know that we are recording. Our goal is to run through some of the content and some of the ideas, share some things with you. And then in a month, we have another session on Canva, and then we will come up with more topics for you. If you have any suggestions for what we could be doing during Lunch and Learn sessions, please let me know. I will be happy to take that and then work on that if we will find that something will be helpful to you as well. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So we have 19 participants. We have just a few more seconds before we start. This is half an hour session, so fairly quick. And again, I welcome your comments, your feedback in the chat, but it's really kind of more structured with me giving you overview, tips and information and slides that you will be able to repurpose later on as well. So I'm going to repost the link one more time for you. If you haven't muted yourself, feel free to unmute if you want to speak. As I see some of you coming in, I may be muting you just to make sure we don't have interruptions, but that's okay. Again, this is Lunch and Learn, right? We are joining and getting connected together. Okay, 12:30, I'm going to start because I have a very busy slide deck for you. I'm going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Monica. Some of you, I recognize the faces, I recognize the name, so it's really nice to see you and see you again. For some of you who don't know me very well, I have been with AlphaPlus for more than 20 years, working on kinds of different projects, but for the last while, it's really the technology. And I do love technology, although as I think everybody else right now can say that it starts to get overwhelming with all the updates and tips and information that's coming in and the changes we are looking at. So yeah, there's a lot to learn and relearn as we go. My goal is to support organizations with coaching services at AlphaPlus and also any direct request for information, for training. We always want to make sure that we accommodate what we are doing. Now, this is Lunch and Learn, and this is one of the first initiatives this year for us. What we were hoping to do is really kind of think back to the Lunch and Learn sessions before COVID, before we really went online and met in person. We would sit in the lunchroom and talk about the different tools and things we are using, some of the things we learned recently, and really share. This is more online, but the idea is the same. This is to give you a chance to relax. If you want to turn off your camera, if you want to drink, eat, just, stretch out, whatever you want to do, feel free to do that. And hopefully within the half an hour we will share together, you will pick up some ideas and tips that you will find helpful and implement in your practice. Now, we can't cover everything. Like with any tool, we are starting with Zoom today, but it has so many different features. It has grown over time, so it's really hard to kind of remember about everything. But I really hope that some of the tips and ideas I will share with you will resonate with you and you will find them helpful in your practice or in the work with your learners. So we're talking about Zoom. I'm going to step out sort of outside of this box for a second and kind of go back to when we started with Zoom. And this is prior to COVID. Some of you may know AlphaPlus shifted to working from home, and that was probably around a year before COVID happened. So we started using some of the tools, and Zoom was one of the first tools we explored. We liked how we were able to connect, have the videos online, meet, chat, and so on. And then as COVID happened, more and more organizations started using Zoom, and it is a very handy tool for online meetings and video meetings. So if you want, I really encourage you to put in the chat if you want to talk about how you're using them, if you're using Zoom as well. There will be a section where I'm going to poll you and ask you if and how you're using Zoom. So you may want to wait for that. But before we jump into the whole presentation, I also want to make a note and flag something. And that is that at AlphaPlus, we are using Zoom Workplace Pro. There are free versions of Zoom, and some of you may be using those. We as an organization are using the Pro version. So we are paying for our accounts, and there's multiple staff members who have their separate accounts. So I'm today running the presentation from my Zoom account, but it belongs to AlphaPlus. And I'm saying that because some of the features and screen captures you're going to see may have things that you may not have seen in your accounts as you're using Zoom as well. So this is just to flag that. And also I have a Mac, so I'm using Apple system. So again, the screen captures you're seeing, the icons you may see, may be slightly different than the Windows, but the concept is the same and the Zoom really works very similarly across different platforms as well. So thank you, Jane, for sharing how you're using Zoom. This is perfect. Now, Zoom, we all know the name. We know it's a platform for meetings, but you may have noticed recently that actually it says Zoom Workplace when you sign into your Zoom account. And to be honest with you, until recently, I was assuming it says Workplace because I thought we had a paid account. But no, this is actually the whole rebrand for Zoom. All of the Zoom accounts, even the basic accounts, when you're signing in, now will say Zoom Workplace. And the reason for that is that they really are introducing features that go beyond the meetings. We know Zoom from meetings and chats and maybe whiteboards, but it really goes well beyond that. So what they're doing is they're actually adding ongoing chats. Adding AI support. They're doing docs, notes, tasks, things you may have seen before, or if you haven't updated your Zoom for a while, you may not even seen those features yet. Now, some of those features will be in the paid accounts, so you may not see it if you're using a free account, but many of them are rolling out into the basic accounts. And those basic accounts have a lot of features you can use with your learners. If you're working with learners one-on-one, great tool with the basic account, has a lot of things to use. But if you are organizing meetings that have more than 3 people, your basic account will lock you out after 40 minutes. Now, side note, we used free accounts for a long time at Alpha Plus. We would literally schedule 3 or 4 meetings in a row, and when the 40 minutes was up, we will just jump to the next link for the next meeting. 40 minutes was up, we will jump to the next meeting. So there's ways to work around that. And it's totally up to you which version you're going to use. We want to highlight and show you a lot of the features that may be available in both, or as you're upgrading your account in some of them. So I have a poll. One of the features within the Zoom account, I should be able to launch a poll and ask you a few questions. So what I want to ask you is at work, because I know you may be also using it at home, but at work, do you use a paid or free Zoom account? And how often do you use the Zoom account? So if you bear with me for 1 second, I'm going to launch my poll. It should pop up on your screen, and you should be able to put in the answers into the question. So let me know. It should just appear right on the screen as you're looking at it. So we're going to take a few seconds. This is just to kind of give us an idea where you are with Zoom. Okay, I'm just going to take 1 more second to let you answer the questions, and then I'm going to share with you the results so you can actually see how you're using, as a group here today, how you're using your Zoom. So 1 more second. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results with you. So when you look at the results, paid accounts is majority of organizations, but many of you are still using free accounts, which is absolutely fine. Some of you are using both, which is, sometimes we switch. I do the same. I have actually 2 organizational accounts and 1 personal, and sometimes I will switch, and you may not be sure. So that's totally okay. And when it comes to how often you use your Zoom account, some of you are using it every day. It's the same for us at Alpha Plus. We meet online a lot, and Zoom is one of the platforms we use. But some of you are using it a few days a week, and some of you a few days a month. And maybe you're using Microsoft Teams, which is absolutely okay. That's why you may not be using Zoom at all. So there's a mixture. And that is often the case with some of the tools you're using. And the reason I was asking for that is to give me an idea of how I can package and talk about Zoom overall as you're getting introduced to it or learning about some of the new features. So before we jump into the features, I mentioned that Alpha Plus is using a paid account. Now, we are a nonprofit organization. So if you are in a situation where you are using basic account and you're thinking about upgrading, don't forget that you can upgrade and get a nonprofit discount through TechSoup Canada. I include that in the slides. I'm going to also post it again in our chat so you have access to the slides. That will give you the link to the TechSoup if you ever want to go back and access it. It will cut the cost of the Zoom for you by half, but you do have to pay the $26 admin fee that the TechSoup is charging for processing your nonprofit registration. So they basically will then prove to Zoom that you're a nonprofit and you qualify for the discount. It's still worth it if you want to explore some of the additional features. If not, basic is okay as well. Now, if you're like me, who started with Zoom a while ago, the first thing I started using is the zoom.us address. So I will just go into my address bar, type it in. The browser would open a window with Zoom tools. I will sign in and start using it. If you go that way, you may notice that over the last while, they have been rolling out a lot of different tools and resources. They're kind of reorganizing this first page you see, the dashboard with some of the shortcuts. And that's a great way to access the tools. But one thing that I was struggling with when using the browser account is that I had two accounts. We organize sessions with my account only if I'm the one delivering them, but sometimes we also manage organizational training, and that is often set up with the organizational account, with our team account. Now, I sometimes have to go in who registered, who didn't, so I have to change that. I had to sign out from one, sign into the other, sign out from one, sign into the other. And very often I would forget which account I was in and accidentally launch a meeting in my team account, even though I wanted to be in my personal account. So what Zoom has introduced in the browser now is that if you click in the right corner, you will be able to switch accounts right there. So you can set it up and switch without having to sign on. It's a very small, simple thing, but it's a life-saving, very quick way to manage your logins and different accounts when you work with Zoom. So it was one of those things that's like, yeah, it exists in other accounts and other profiles, but I didn't know about that, and it really made a difference for me. Now, some of you may have installed Zoom desktop app. And then the difference is that if you're invited to a Zoom account, but you usually don't use Zoom and you have never installed a desktop, you can participate without having a Zoom account at all and then just going by a browser. So your learners could join your sessions if you are doing those. But if you want to present, if you want to share your screen, slides, and so on, if you want to utilize some of the reactions and so on, that's when your desktop account will be important. It's basically a program that Zoom allows you to download. It sits on your computer. And then when you start joining the sessions or want to present, it behind the scenes, it launches and gives you the features you're looking for. So if you haven't downloaded the Zoom desktop app, I would really strongly suggest you do that if you're using Zoom a lot. Now, what's the difference? How do I know I'm in the browser versus the desktop? And usually the difference will be where you look at your screen. If you're only in the browser, your Zoom will be in the tab in the browser. If you're using the desktop version or if it launched behind the scenes, there will be the Zoom icon in your taskbar at the bottom. So whether it's your Mac taskbar or Windows taskbar, you will see the Zoom icon. And if you click on it, you're going to see the Zoom desktop app. Now, if you're in the session with me right now, you won't see it because you are in Zoom. But if you leave the session today and you click on it, you will start seeing different tools that Zoom is adding and introducing to make navigation and management and the tools easier for you to access as well. So, but that's how you will know you're in the desktop. And when I'm talking about the different tools, until now it was just meetings. There were chat in our meetings, there was a whiteboard. But now there are docs. There are better whiteboards than before. There are clips, tasks, notes. If you do not see those in your Zoom, that basically means your Zoom account is not updated. Okay? So it's very important to remember to update that desktop version. If you go to the browser version, you're also going to see some of those features getting rolled out as you're starting to use Zoom a bit more. Now, the desktop updates, very often you have to do them manually. And a lot of us forget, I forget to do that. When I go into the desktop app and go to settings, I can even set up automatic updates. And I have that set up. And once in a while, if I go in and check if there's an update, there still is, and I still have to manually do that. So I'm going to show you a quick shortcut. You're going to go into your desktop app, click on the icon, and the Zoom desktop will pop up for you. You will click in the top right corner, and there will be a section that will say check for updates. If you click on that, the system will tell you you're up to date, or there's a new update available and you have to click on that update. I did that update yesterday. That's why some of the new tools that we are discussing today are even new to me because they're just rolling them out. But they're really interesting. So I really want you to know about them, to try them out and explore them. Okay, so I'm going to run through some of them fairly quickly, flag them for you just in terms of what they can do for you so you can decide, is this even useful for me or not? And one of the big ones is the team chats. They call it a team chat. And if you're using Microsoft Teams, you know that if you're in a video meeting in Microsoft Teams and if there was a chat conversation, it gets saved for you to access after the meeting. Zoom is trying to introduce something similar. So when you are setting up your meetings in actual schedule, you can say, I want this chat to be an ongoing chat. So for example, staff meetings or team meetings, or maybe even with the learners, you can set up a chat that will go with the meeting you have. And when you finish the meeting, that chat will continue and you can continue messaging each other. Now, if you do not set it up, there will still be history of the chat, but at the bottom, it's going to say, this is no longer a continuous meeting chat. But you have an option, and they're adding those to make it easier. There is going to be a history of those chats and options to enable that. So that's one of the newer features in chat that we haven't seen before. A new one as well is docs. And I have to admit that I was looking at thinking, why do I need docs in Zoom versus Google or Microsoft? And what they seem to try to do is to think of Zoom as the workplace tool. So they're adding tools that you may be using in the workplace without having to rely on Microsoft or even Google. And one of those is the docs. And the docs is really a way for you to create an agenda for the meeting or notes from your meeting if you want, but it's embedded into your Zoom. And when you're in Zoom, you can actually launch it, or you can schedule it and even add the documentations before the meeting starts. So they're adding that as well. When I opened it to create a new document, to me, it really looks like a simplified version of Google Doc with tools at the top, sharing buttons on the right, and those can be shared outside of the meeting. It's not only in the meeting. You can actually send a link to somebody who is not part of the meeting as well. So very interesting feature. If you're working with your learners, if you're working with your colleagues, you can start thinking, okay, I need an agenda. Do we have a folder where we put our agendas, or do I just quickly jot down some agenda items and include it with the meeting, or even open it as you are in the meeting as well? So that's another new interesting feature. Now, I'm going to pause and ask you if you can put in the chat for me, how many of you have used Google Jamboard? It was the tool that you could open and then you can actually put different sticky notes on it, images. You could collaborate with your learners. You can just, nod, yes, just let me know. It's a tool that Google provided for a while. Educators loved it, but they discontinued it recently. Okay, so some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no. Yeah, perfect. Many of us loved it for the collaboration part of it, where we could sort of create different things together. So yeah, and some of you are saying, Wendy, Google Jamboard was amazing. We have used whiteboards in Zoom for a while, and yes, they were there, and some people really like to use them. We struggled with the functionality and tools, but what they have done now is, again, I have screen captures for you. If you go to your whiteboards, there's a ton of different templates you can use, and those templates are notes, they're diagrams, they're charts, they're presentations that you can customize and send to your colleagues or learners to collaborate on together. So they really expanded that, and they're bringing in features from some of the other platforms we are kind of getting familiar with. I'm going to show you that if you go to the templates, you're going to see even syllabus presentation, playful lessons from fractions and math that you can customize and bring in. And as I was looking at the templates and layouts that I could launch in the whiteboard, my immediate question was, can I bring my own presentation into a whiteboard? And you can. So if you have lessons or activities you like, you can bring them into a whiteboard. It will actually extrapolate all the pages from the presentation. And then you can have your learners or your colleagues put sticky notes on it, put notes on it, reorganize them, come up with different ideas for things. It becomes a lot more like a Jamboard. And the beautiful part of it is that you can share that outside of a Zoom meeting. So before it was just part of the meeting, but now it's embedded as a separate tool, and you can now send links to it and have people collaborate with you on those. So if you want to do something with your learners, you can send it to the learner by email, chat, and they can come in and work with you. One note to remember, they have to be signed into Zoom, but they could just use a basic account, but that will allow them to use it, and it will work in a basic account. It doesn't have to be a paid version. So this was something I was really excited about because so many people love Jamboard, and this could help you. Okay, so if you haven't tried anything else in Zoom, when you go back to the Zoom account after our sessions, check out the whiteboards because they're pretty cool. Okay. So I mentioned that you can upload content to it. Basically, you go open a new whiteboard, just blank whiteboard. You're going to click on the upload icon, and then you can select a document from your computer or from Google Drive, wherever you have it. And then you're going to select it, and it's going to ask you, do you want me to extract the pages? You're going to say yes, and it's going to lay it out beautifully for you on the whiteboard. You can then move things around, add to it, and so on. So it's pretty neat, really cool. Another feature, and as you can see, I'm really excited about this because there's so many different things, and I'm really flagging this. We have been using Zoom for more than 5 years ourselves, and we haven't seen some of those new features and tools, but they're really cool. So one of them is the clips, and I can see that Jane, you raised your hand. Please feel free to speak up. Just unmute yourself.
I just want to clarify with the whiteboards. Can you upload any kind of like a document, or does it have to be a PowerPoint presentation
From what
or
I have seen, is PowerPoint on PDF. But I haven't really, if I go back to the slide before, and I have to admit I haven't tried, it says Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. So there is a possibility that if you click on it, it may even select a Word document, but I haven't tried. From what I have seen, I just saw PowerPoint and PDF. Yeah, but try it. Good question, very good question. Now, another piece is clips. They call them clips. It's videos. It's videos you can create in Zoom. So like today, we are recording the session. I recorded it to the cloud in Zoom. To share it with you, I can just put a link to it and send you there, or I can download it to my computer and you will be able to access it if I post it on YouTube or something like that. If I send it from the cloud, there's a limited space for videos in Zoom Cloud. And after time, you start running out and you start having problems. They are introducing clips, and clips is basically a way for you to generate videos. You can make them short videos if you want them for your learners, instructions for social media, and so on. You have editing tools inside that allow you to actually take out the ends, cut the video in any way you want. And then you have sharing tools that you can send out to your learners or to your colleagues or to the community. And what's nice about that is that basic account still has access to 5 clips. They could be only 2 minutes in length, but the paid accounts unlimited. So as I was even looking at this today, thinking, we have so many Zoom videos, we run out of space. Maybe we can actually upload them into the clips section, and it becomes our library of resources. If you use YouTube, that's another way, and you can continue with YouTube. But there may be situations where you're working on the lessons and you really want to have a collection of videos to go with it that you could record. Maybe you want to go through the slides and give instructions to your learners. You can do that directly in Zoom using the clips feature. So something really to check out. There's a few more. There's notes that I still struggle understanding the difference between notes and docs. But in my head, and then I may be wrong about this, I'm thinking notes are kind of spur of the moment. So docs, like agendas and things you may want to include in the meetings, will be kind of more official. Notes could be your notes when you're in the meeting and you really want to kind of learn different things. So rather than writing on a piece of paper that we kind of misplace, you could take notes in the meetings and they will get saved in your Zoom account as well. So that is another feature that's getting added to Zoom. And of course, the AI companion. If you have been using Zoom for a while or attended different meetings, you have seen AI bots joining in the Zoom sessions, or there have been summaries going out after the meeting from the Zoom sessions. That is the AI companion. This feature shows up a bit in the basic account, but it's limited as far as I understand. It's a bit more built up in the paid versions. But what it can do for you is it can summarize your meetings. So you could just have a session like we have today, and at the end, it will send me an email saying, this is what was discussed, grouped into information. So it's very interesting. Yeah, somebody is asking for the meeting summary. I'm going to say yes. We'll see how that plays out. But that's AI built into Zoom, and they're growing and including more features in it. One of them is going to be tasks. It's already there. You can go in and add your own tasks. But if you have a calendar or Outlook, my question is, like, why would you go and create tasks in yet another platform? But what it will do is take the summary information, and if there are action items, it's going to actually add them to your tasks to remind you that there were some of the things that potentially you may need to follow up on. So building it, exploring it, but there's some interesting things that are coming. Now, There's a few tools that you already are using, and I just kind of wanted to highlight them as well. And this is usually when we are in the session. So we are in the session right now. If you have your Zoom open, you may actually have a button that says React. But more and more people actually are telling me, oh, I can see this is hearts flying over the screen or balloons are flying. Where is this coming from? If you have the desktop version of Zoom, you will have React. And if you have a video on, the send with effect option will be visible. That's the one that sends balloons and other things to everyone and shows up on the screen. There are also regular reactions. There's a raise a hand option and be right back. So some of them we have seen before, but those effects are coming in with a newer version of the Zoom desktop. So if you haven't updated, update. Also, and this may take a while, but I often wave my hands. I'm one of those people that kind of marks and does different things. And you could set up your React to recognize the gestures. So mine right now doesn't want to do it. It may be because I'm sharing the screen and it's just kind of taking a while. But very often, if I'm in a meeting and I move my hands a lot, this raise a hand option pops up automatically for me. That's AI behind the screen scenes. It's looking at the video and recognizing different gestures for you as well. So if you want to enable that, you can. You can also disable that if you find that very annoying. It can also play chimes if somebody raises a hand. So it can give me a notification to let me know. So a lot of interesting tools and information built in that can be helpful here as well. As you can see, I'm running through the time because I have 5 more minutes. And I really want to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to highlight for you. Now, a new thing that potentially may be starting to show up in basic accounts as well, but it is also in the paid version, is apps. And like many other tools we are seeing, there's a lot of connecting different apps, Google or Outlook, whatever you want to connect. This also is including features like that. For now, myself, I'm just looking at what Zoom is providing. And one of them is a apps button. And when I click on it, there's a timer. Okay, so it's really, really nice about the timer where you can actually turn on the timer and everybody can see it. Now, I turn it on and hopefully you can see it in the corner where you have the viewing options for different participants. There may be a timer and that's telling me 3 minutes, 24 seconds. This is how much time I have left to finish my presentation. So I have a timer to remind me about that. There's also other timers where you can set up celebrations, winners, and options with the timer and stopwatches. That's built in into your Zoom now using the app feature. So if you haven't tried that, I really suggest you explore that. Now, Jane, you mentioned the AI issues. I absolutely understand. We are all the same way. We often turn off AI when we meet. Zoom is saying that they are not using the content that, your videos, your recordings, they're not using it to teach AI. But if you're not comfortable, don't use it. This is just to show you that the features are there. There's a whole white paper about Zoom and AI features that they're doing and what they're doing with it. Seems a bit complicated, but if you want to review, they will have a lot of information as well. Now,
I
yeah.
just want to say quickly that if you have a shared account like we do, that's also where you have to be careful if you use the AI because it'll email the summary to whoever created the account, which I didn't know, but I was testing it out, so it was fine, but found that out the hard way.
Perfect. And then, yes, sometimes we may meet and talk about somebody behind their back, and then now they're giving a summary from that meeting, right? I'm just joking, but that could be the case. So you do have to be careful. I'm going to jump back here because in the AI companion, who will receive a summary after this meeting? Only meeting host, and so on. But yes, the host will always get a copy of it. So if you're sharing the account, a very, very good point. So thank you for that, Jane. It's helpful. But again, as an organization, as you're working together, you may be deciding to turn it on or off for specific meetings, and then that may help as well. Okay, so I talked about the timer. There's also this built-in app for music. There's also backgrounds. There's also group photo option. So there's quite a few different things that are coming that may be helpful for you or working with the learners just to kind of make things a bit more interesting. So I really encourage you. There's more apps. There's third-party apps that you can add. I'm not even going there because I'm, one of those people is like, be careful before you start doing some of those things. But if you want to explore, go ahead. Okay, now I have 1 minute and just two more things. So when you're sharing your screen, I want to make sure that you look at the sharing options. Very often we just kind of go, I'll share the page or window or screen and we are done. But there's more options there. There's screens, documents, and advanced settings. In there, you have an option to enable a sound, and very often you know that. But I don't know if you ever looked at the idea that you can change layouts. And in the layout, when sharing the screen, you can say, I actually want to overlay myself in front of the slides. That's an option. It's visible in Microsoft Teams, but you can do that here as well. Or you may pop it in the corner. So there's different layouts options that you may want to take a look at. In documents, what's nice that you can actually now share the docs and notes together when you share the documents. And then layouts are there as well. And then in advanced, this is the tool I really like as well. I never knew that you could do that, a while ago, but now I often show and demonstrate how applications work on iPads, for example. So I go in and I use a Mac, again, a reminder. I connect my iPad with a cable to my laptop, and all of a sudden in Zoom, I can now show my iPad screen with the applications and how they work. So there's things built into your sharing screen that we ignore, we don't look at. One of the things that I also highlighted is the computer audio, because you may be in a meeting, you may not want to share a screen, but you may want to play music. And this is one of the ways you can do that. You can give your learners 5-10 minutes to work on their own, play the music in the background, and you can do that through the advanced sharing features. Okay. All right. Captions, you can see them now built into all of the Zoom tools. You can just change the language in there. It will automatically create a transcript for you that you can then save and use later on. There's also spotlighting of participants. So I'm not going to spotlight any of you, but very often in bigger groups, you may have 20, 30 people. Somebody speaking may not always jump to the beginning. And then you're kind of trying to find who is speaking now? Where is the sound coming from? So you can spotlight. And for AlphaPlus, we often do that when we have interpreters. We spotlight them so our participants can see the interpreter all the time as one of the very first videos on the screen. So if you ever have a situation where learners are telling you, I'm losing you, I can't find you, spotlight, and it's going to make it visible for everyone. It's slightly different than pinning. Pinning makes it, gives it an option for the participants to pin and have that video. Spotlight will do it for everyone. So there's a bit of a difference there and can be confusing. Okay. Oh, a few minutes. Now I can breathe. I want to thank you for sharing and coming in today. Please let me know if you found this helpful, if this was interesting to you. I just want to highlight that we will have another Canva session coming up in a month. As you can see, I really didn't cover everything, but I really wanted to get you excited about Zoom because there's so many different things you may enjoy. And in our chat, I put in information about the next one. In Canva, it's going to be different than this one. This one was really kind of looking at the features. In Canva, I'm going to show you how I'm working on images and building things in Canva. So it's going to be more, sharing screen and really giving you some ideas there. And that's because I often see participants just using Canva with the templates that exist. But I really want to show you how you can build a lot of things from scratch and then kind of cheat the system a bit with the tools that are there. So I'm really excited about that one. I put a link to the feedback form if you have time before you go today to let me know how did we do, was this helpful? If not, I will send out another email with the recording, with the slides and the link to the feedback form. This was our first one. This was looking at Zoom, but if you have other suggestions, please let me know, okay? All right, I think that's it. Any notes, anything you want to say, please speak up if you want to say something. That's sometimes just easier than the chat. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet me today. Thank you.
Well done, Monica. Amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that you were able to join us and look at some of those features, but there's a bit more work. You need to go back and take a look at it. And again, if you do not see the features, update your desktop. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I can see some of you join us, some of you learn and are responding. That's fantastic. This is really exciting. I'm so excited about the Lunch and Learn sessions. As you know, I love the tech and then trying different things. And when I see new features, like, yay! So for me, the highlight from today was the whiteboard. I hope you have 2 or 3 things you're taking away that you will try or explore on your own as well. In the meantime, I thank you again. We are going to stop the recording. Just find the screen.